guys, it's Sarah and I'm here with my April wrap up. I can't believe April's over. It's kind of, this year is going by so fast. It's insane. I read some really great books this month. I'm really happy with everything that I read, and I ended up reading 7 books, which is more than I thought I was going to, so I'm very happy about that. So let's get started. The first book that I read was Shopaholic to the Stars, which is the 7th book in the Shopaholic series by Sophie Kinsella. Yes. And this one was about Becky Bloomwood, who is a shopaholic. She's married, she has a daughter, and in this edition of it, she goes to LA with her husband for a few months. They end up living there temporarily because her husband has a job that he's doing there with a celebrity. And so Becky is finding herself being pulled towards all the shopping and the designers and the Hollywood stars, and she's trying to make a name for herself there. And it was pretty good. I ended up giving this book 3 stars. Becky actually bothered me in this one more than she's ever bothered me before, and she normally doesn't. I normally just adore her. I think she's adorable, but in this one she really bothered me. She ended up being very selfish and ended up really pushing away her husband and her friends because she's trying to make a name for herself, and so she thinks that that's the way to go about doing it, is just caring about yourself and no one else. So that bothered me. Of course, eventually she came around and realized what she was doing, but for a majority of the book, I was just like, come on, what are you doing? Come on. Like, it just kind of drove me a little bit nuts. But otherwise, it was still a really good book. It's funny. Sophie Kinsella has great comedy in this series, and I just really like it. So 3 stars for me. The second book that I read is The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up, and this is by Marie Kondo. So this is a nonfiction book about kind of helping you to organize your home and to help you purge things out of your home and kind of steps you can go about to take to doing that. And I enjoyed this. It was another 3 stars for me. There were parts of it that were really weird, like really strange, and kind of some practices that I didn't think really made a whole lot of sense. Some of it didn't make sense for me personally just because they were not issues that I actually have to deal with my stuff. We're actually normally a pretty organized family, and like we don't have junk hanging around in our house or anything like that, but it's always good to kind of get more tips and kind of different strategies if you do want to start purging some things. I did use some of the strategies to purge my scrapbook room, which I'm sitting in right now, and it was helpful, definitely. I was really happy with the results afterwards, but some of it was just kind of strange, and I was like, And she lost me on the chapter where she talked about getting rid of books. No. She basically said, if you have books on your bookshelf that you have not read, go ahead and get rid of them because you're not going to. I was like, no, that's the whole reason that they're there. It'll probably take me a while, sure, but I also have over 100 books on my shelf that I haven't read yet. But that's why they're there. So I don't know. Eventually, honestly, I would like my bookshelves to be nothing but books that I have read and loved. I think that would be great. But if I don't have books that I haven't read, then they're just decoration, basically, right? So yeah, I don't know. I didn't like that part so much. The next book that I read is The Good Neighbor. This is written by A.J. Banner, and I don't have any of these books on me. Some of them were library books. This one is a book that I lent out to a friend, so she's reading it right now. But yeah, so pretty pictures, sorry. But this one was good. I gave this one a 4 stars. It is a thriller. It was pretty short. It was a little less than 200 pages, but it's basically about a woman who kind of she experiences a fire at her neighbor's house, and then it actually ends up burning her house down a little bit too, and consequences from that, and she's learning secrets that are coming out about her neighbors and her neighborhood in general and about her husband, and she's kind of trying to piece things together because her life kind of crumbled at one point, and she's kind of trying to put them back together, and she doesn't know who to trust. She doesn't know what's going on. There's someone who's kind of out to get her, is what she thinks, and she's trying to figure all this stuff out. So it was a good thriller. I really enjoyed it. It did take a surprise turn at the end that I didn't see coming, and yeah, it was good. The next book that I read, it was an audiobook, and I finished Dragonfly and Amber by Diana Gabaldon. This is the 2nd book in the Outlander series, and I wanted to finish it before the second season of Outlander started, which I finished it that day. So I finished it the day of, and then a few hours later, the second season started. So I was really happy about that. So far, the show is following the books as far as the first season was the first book. This season should be the second book, and so on and so on. So I'm kind of planning to make sure I listen to the books before the next season starts, so I have a whole full year to do it. They are very long. The audiobooks are about 33, 34 hours because the books are very, very long, but they're very good. The audiobooks are wonderful. I don't know if it would take me longer to read it physically than listen to the audiobook, but I really like the narrator for the audiobooks, and I believe she does all of them, so I'm probably just going to go ahead and continue listening to them. But they're very good. So this one is, I'm not going to tell you too much because it is the second book in a series, but there's a little bit of jumping around. So I was a little bit confused in the beginning because when we came back into the story, we were not set in the same time period that we were when we left off in the book. This is a time travel book, by the way. So I was a little bit confused at first. I was like, wait, what's happening? Where's my Jamie? What's going on? And then we eventually get back to it. So it was interesting the way it was done in the book, and in the show it did it a little bit differently, but it was still really interesting. So yeah, but I really, really enjoyed it. And there's a lot of political intrigue in this one because they are trying to decide if they're going to try to change history or leave it the way it is. And they're just trying to figure out what to do. And there's a lot of politics involved with France and all sorts of stuff. So yeah, overall 4 stars, really enjoyed it. The next book I read is Shopaholic to the Rescue, which is book number 8 in the Shopaholic series. So I just continued and I actually caught up on that series. So that is another series that I have completely caught up on this year. So I'm very happy about that. And in this one, Becky and her family are trying to find her father because he has gone missing, but he really hasn't. It's funny because everyone keeps saying that he's missing, but he's been in contact with them. They just don't know where he is. But he didn't like mysteriously disappear. He left on his own. And it was just kind of weird because he had been in contact with them and he's saying, I'm doing something, I'm fine, don't come after me. But they keep going after him like his life is in danger, but it's not. So that kind of bothered me a little bit about it. I was just like, leave the man alone. He's doing something. Leave him alone, give him some space. But they were just like, you know, I don't know. They were acting like it was life and death and it really wasn't. So that's the overdramatic part of it, I guess. But overall, I did give it 4 stars. I did enjoy it. It was funny. Again, Becky didn't bother me as much in this one. She bothered me a little bit, just as far as just being overdramatic about stuff. But yeah, so it was good. I enjoyed it. So 4 stars. And I'm completely caught up on that series now. And these next 2 books, I have books to show you. Yay! So the first one is a library book, and I gotta take it back next week. But I read the first compendium of the Walking Dead comic book series. So this is issues 1 through 48 of the series. It's very, very long. It's over 1,000 pages, but it is a comic. So, you know, as you can see, it went really fast. I loved this. I had been not sure if I wanted to read the comics or not, because this is my favorite television show that's on TV today. Like, this is it. And I'm completely caught up on it. I watch, like, my husband and I sit down Sunday nights, and that's what we do. So it's Walking Dead night. But I have been kind of trying to stay away from this because I wasn't sure if I wanted to read too far ahead and get spoiled for anything. But after reading this, I don't think you can, because this is so different. The big things are the same. You know, it is still the zombie apocalypse. They find each other, they find the prison. It's mostly the same characters that are in the show. The only one missing is Daryl Dixon, and I do miss him. But, you know, they find the prison, and the governor is in here, and, you know, all that stuff. So the big stuff is still the same. However, the characters, a lot of these characters follow different paths. Some of them that die in the show are still alive right now. Some of them die in here that are still alive in the show. So it's very different. A lot of the characteristics of them are different. Carol is completely different than she is in the show. And that bothered me so much. I was like, what are you doing to my Carol? And I know this was the original Carol. I know the show changed her, but I think the show changed her for the better. I couldn't stand her in this, but in the show, she's like one of my favorites. So I don't know. It's so strange. But yeah, I still really, really enjoyed this. I also really enjoyed the artwork in this. It's all black and white, definitely, but you know, you have some pages that are like this, so it's full pages, and then you have some eventually that are, I marked it so I wouldn't lose the page, but it's like, this one is the different panels, so it has like this, and then you kind of go across here, and then it's here, and then it's here. So that's different as well, which I really like. And then there's also ones like this that are very different. So it's, sorry, it's very hard to hold. So it's a long panel here, and then you read here, and then it's a long panel here. So I really liked how they changed it up like that. And then there's one more I wanted to show you. There's pages like this, which is the prison. And then there's some stuff like this, which I really, really liked. This is Rick right here, and he's saying, "We are the Walking Dead," and it was just a big, full, you know, face shot of him, and I just really like that. I liked how they changed up the art style throughout it. Not the art style, but as far as, you know, how the layouts were. So it kind of kept it interesting, and it wasn't just the same thing over and over again. So yes, I really, really enjoyed this. I'm very excited to pick up the second volume of this and to read more. From what I'm understanding, you can read the first 3 compendiums like this and not be spoiled for what's happening in the show at all. Although it's so different, you know, you never know what creative direction the show is going to take as far as the comics go. So you never know if they're going to actually follow the storyline or if they're going to kill off characters that they don't kill off in here. You never know. So I don't even know if you can get spoiled for it, but I am, yeah. So 5 stars. I'm going to stop talking about it now because I've been talking about this for like majority of this video, but 5 stars. Loved it. And the last book that I finished for the month of April is Jane Steele by Lindsay Fay, and I really enjoyed this. I got this one for review from the publisher, and I'm going to have a separate review video for this coming up in the next week or so. So I'm not going to say too much about it right now. I'll save it for my review, but 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. It's a historical fiction, and it had been called kind of a retelling of Jane Eyre, but it's not. It's more inspired by Jane Eyre, and Jane Eyre is actually mentioned a lot in this book, and there's actually quotes from Jane Eyre at the beginning of every chapter, so that's kind of cool. But it's not so much a retelling as more of inspired by, and our main character in here is actually idolizes Jane Eyre and talks about her a lot, so that's kind of more the aspect from Jane Eyre that I got versus retelling. But yes, it was very, very good. Like I said, I will talk more about it in my review coming up here soon. But yeah, 4 stars. Loved it. Okay, guys, that's it for me. I am currently in the middle of a book as well, but I'll talk about that in my May TBR, which is going to be coming up tomorrow, so stick around for that. And I will see you guys again soon. Leave me a comment down below. Let me know what your favorite book was that you read in the month of April. I hope you guys have a great day. I'll see you soon. Bye.